I'm out here in the Arkansas wilderness, hiking, camping, and cooking some delicious food for the next 2 days. Come along with me as I learn how to go backpacking for the very first time. My name is Carter, and you're watching Outdoor Science. Yeah, I was hoping the river would be more about that height. That I could wade through, but this is just a tributary of the Buffalo. If I'd cross here and go around, wouldn't really matter. Alright, this is light creek crossing. I imagine this is normally dry, so this is the first time I've really got to make a decision about what I want to do. I might try to hop along these rocks right here, because I do have Crocs I can change into, so that's what I might do. Let's change into some Crocs and then go across right here where it's shallowest. That was really cold. My feet are numb now, but I'm able to dry them off with this towel so I can put my shoes and socks on dry. I do not want to hike with wet feet. That's just a recipe for blisters and just being generally uncomfortable. Well, the easy part's over now. From here, the next couple miles are almost entirely uphill. So I'll see you when I get to the top. Well, I hadn't really planned on doing this hike, so I wasn't really prepared for how difficult it was going to be. The whole first 1.5 miles, 2 miles is just uphill, so this should be about the highest point. I'm kind of going to have to adjust my plans. If I were to do this full trail, I'd have to do this pretty much all over again, and I just don't think I can do that. So I think what I'm going to do, the next 2 miles is downhill, and then I should be coming across a creek that feeds into the Buffalo River. I'm hopefully going to try to hike to that creek downhill, take that creek to the Buffalo, or just find somewhere to camp from there. Ideally, I'd like to be by the water because I want to try to fish, but if I can't, I can't. Either way, I'm going to go downhill, find a camp spot, and then set up camp and go from there. But for now, I'm gonna sit down, enjoy the view, and have a snack, because I'm really hungry. I almost didn't even bring a full bottle of water. I was planning on just filling it up whenever I got to my campsite, so I'm glad I filled it before I came, otherwise I have no water. Finally started going downhill just a little bit. Feels a lot less steep than the uphill part. There's some people back there at the lookout that said I might be coming up on a point here that is washed out. It was like a slide, like a mud slide, so I need to be careful of that, but I'm just grateful to be going downhill at this point. So interestingly, I cinched this part of my backpack just a little bit more, and it kind of made it more comfortable. I definitely don't think I have this set up completely correct, and I think it's probably a little top heavy and just overpacked in general, but it's been really hurting my shoulders so far. It's really been the worst part of all of this, is carrying the pack and the shoulder pain. But just cinching this up a little bit helped a bit, so see how long that lasts. Other than that, going uphill is pretty tough, but it's been a beautiful hike, so just keep going and stop when I get to a good spot. It makes sense that deer would use this hiking path because it's a lot more level than the rest of this terrain. Everywhere around here is so vertical that it would just be a waste of energy to try to cut across. So it makes sense that they would use a hiking trail to get around. That's where I'm trying to go, right there. I think I'm gonna have to go up and around. Looks like someone made a camp right here. Not really supposed to make a camp this close to the trail, but worst case scenario, I can come back here, use this kind of spot, or maybe set up a tent a little ways away and at least hit something. I'm at the lowest spot that I think that I'm gonna go, and if I follow the creek that way, all the way down about 3/4 of a mile, maybe a mile, it opens up into the Buffalo River. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try to hike down that way. It looks pretty dry. There's 2 pools right here, and then there's no more flowing water under it. I walked down there a little ways to see if it was even possible to make it through this section, and I can. So I'm gonna give it my best shot, and if I can't, then if I have to turn around, then I'm gonna come back up here and probably go up the creek and find a flat spot to camp. But ideally I wanna make it to the river, so we'll see what happens. Alright, so it doesn't look like I can hike all the way down there, especially not with all my gear, and I'm beat. So there's this flat path that came up here off the creek that is clear. There's enough room for my tent. It's relatively flat. I think I'm gonna camp here. It's only a couple hundred yards to get back to the trail. And if I set up camp and I have plenty of daylight left, I might go try to fish, but I'm ready to take a break. So the other reason I think this is a good spot is because as I was walking along, I found trash. This is instructions for a tent. So looks like someone else might have had the same idea as me. It's not that steep right here. Might actually move up just a little bit. This might be a little bit bigger of an area just right here. Probably try to camp right here. There's plenty of dead wood for a fire, so that's nice. I'm not expecting any rain, not even expecting any heavy winds. It's actually supposed to be getting even nicer, but I'm gonna put the rain fly on just in case. The keen observers among you have noticed that I put the rain fly on upside down. Well, it's only about 3 o'clock, but I'm really hungry. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to build a fire and have another granola bar. I just need enough wood to cook dinner, and worst case scenario, I have butane and a camp stove, so I won't be without food, but I'd like to have a fire. A lot of this wood is pretty wet and kind of rotten, and so I'm not sure how well it's gonna burn, but I'm gonna give it a try. So I was just walking around because I'm trying to check in with my Garmin. I really thought that this little hill that I'm on looked like a trail, and sure enough, when I'm walking around, there's a good sized campsite just down the way. And I'm really confused because on all the maps I've looked at, there's no trail that should be here and definitely no campsite. So I'm gonna head over there. There's also a cave down there that I might try to explore. So I'm gonna do a few things before I start cooking dinner because it's still pretty early for that. See, this is very clearly a trail, and I'm only 100 feet away from it. So I don't really know what's going on. It's not on any of the maps, so I'm a little confused. Just came down off that trail towards the water. There's a whole campsite over here. It's a really nice campsite too. There's some of their firewood. Definitely where they stayed, where they put their tent. But this is a very substantial campfire and chairs. I don't think I'm gonna move all my stuff down here, but it would have been nice to know this was here. I don't see any fish, but this pool would definitely hold some if it were a little bit warmer. I bet they've all moved down to the main river. Alright, so what I'm gonna do here, I just need a small fire that'll burn pretty hot and pretty quick. I don't want this going all night. So I have this wood here that's pretty wet still, and I'm gonna kind of just use that to outline kind of where I want my fire to be. And this will kind of just help keep my fire contained just a little bit. Now I'm just gonna carve a few shavings just to get it like a nice base of tinder. Okay, that was significantly harder than I expected. I only got a few shavings. So what I'm gonna do is just use all of this small stuff and just create a nice bed of little sticks. And then I have some fire starter, and I'm just gonna break everything into small pieces and kind of put them in the same direction in one place, because I'll make my fire right here. And just like with cooking, it all happens really fast, so you want to have everything kind of prepared. Alright, this is a very modest amount of wood, but I'm hoping it's going to be enough to cook dinner. Like I said, it doesn't have to last very long. So I've kind of got my wood organized here. So I've got some larger pieces over here, the small kindling right here, medium-sized sticks right here. So the way I'm going to start this fire, I have some cotton balls soaked in Vaseline. Take one of those out right there. And then I'm gonna try to light it and then put all this small stuff on top. I'm just gonna let this go for a little while and hopefully burn this down quite a bit. It's still pretty wet. And then once that gets hotter and hotter, I'll add more sticks. All right, I have a good bed of coals down, and so I'm gonna start preheating my pan, and I'm gonna show you what I brought for dinner. I brought a beautiful New York strip steak that I let marinate overnight with garlic and rosemary, and a bunch of mushrooms and onions. So I'll be eating pretty good. I just thought I'd celebrate for the first ever backpacking trip I do. All right, that's pretty hot. Let's go ahead, and I'm gonna start with the steak, just so after I cook it, it has time to rest. All right, this looks like it's about done, so I'm gonna let it rest. And then next what I'm gonna do is put a little olive oil into the pan. And I'm gonna add my onions first. A little salt. I'm going to take this off the heat for the mushrooms. A little more oil, salt, some pepper. All right, the mushrooms are done. I'm actually gonna put the steak back on. I undercooked it a little bit, so it's gonna go back on. All right, they should be done now. All right, that looks absolutely delicious. All right, let's see if this is even edible. It's really good. All right, well, dinner was delicious and I've cleaned up and I got water to put the fire out, but for now, I'm just gonna sit right here and enjoy it and probably listen to an audiobook. It's not too late, so I think I'll just hang out here until the fire dies. All right, well, I have my sleeping bag all made, my mat. I think I'm gonna head to sleep now. Might listen to my audiobook for a little bit longer, but I'm getting really tired, so see you in the morning. Good morning. I think it's time to get up. It's cold and I don't want to get out of my sleeping bag though, but I need to break down camp so I can head out. Not sure if I packed my gear different this morning. I kind of just threw things in where they would fit. But the only thing that I'm missing is my dinner from last night, which was only about 1.5 to 2 pounds. And then my jug of water, which could be a couple pounds, but it feels a lot better this morning. My legs are still super tired, but my shoulders don't hurt as bad and my pack doesn't feel as awkward. So that's nice. The one bad thing is that I'm not gonna have any water. Apparently, when I was repacking before I left, my water filter must have fallen out and now I don't have a water filter. And I'm not sure how clean the water is around here. So I'm not gonna have water till I get back to my car, which kind of stinks, but it's motivation to keep going. This hike back is really kicking my butt. So every quarter to half mile, I'm just stopping and taking a breather, just taking my time getting back. So I got home earlier this afternoon and I had lunch and I rested a little bit and I decided to weigh my pack because I hadn't done that yet, and it turns out it's only 33 pounds. Plus the food that I ate and the water, that I had packed in, it's probably somewhere in the 36-pound range. I didn't have that much that I didn't bring, so turns out I'm just extremely out of shape.